All right, so we have the color wheel, right? Most of you have seen this before, especially if you had me last year. You know the primary colors and secondary colors, hopefully. If not, that's fine. I'm going to go back over them anyways. Okay, so when we talk about the color wheel, it's pretty much just a rainbow that goes in a circle, right? So when we're doing this, we need to decide what all these colors are based off of. Okay, and for those of you who have seen this before, you obviously know that the primary colors make up all other colors, right? So when I'm talking about the primary colors, I'm talking about yellow, blue, red. Okay, so these are my primary colors. So if you all please write down these as I'm going: yellow, blue, red. So I also want you to know that just because I'm telling you that these are the primary colors that we're going to use, that does not necessarily mean that they're the only set of primary colors. Okay, if you were to send a digital drawing to a printer, it's going to use different primary colors because it's set up differently. A printer is going to use yellow, cyan, and magenta and black to make colors. If you put a little droplet of water on your phone screen, it's going to run off of those same colors. If you put a little droplet of water on a really old TV, it's going to run off of red, blue, and green. If you work in a theater and you're mixing colors of light on a stage, you're going to use different colors too. Okay, so primary colors are really just, it depends on what you're using them for. Okay, when you're mixing colored pencils or mixing paint or things like that, these are your primary colors that you're most likely going to use. Okay, so these primary colors make up all other colors. Okay, so in order to make more colors, you have to mix two of these together. Okay, and when you mix two of them together, you get secondary colors. Okay, and your secondary colors are going to be the ones that are in between the primary colors. Okay, so we're going to have green, we're going to have purple or violet, depending on what you call it. I'll call it both. And these are going to be secondary colors. Okay, so green, orange, purple. Okay, so in order to make a secondary color, you have to mix together two primary colors. So if I mix together yellow and blue, I get green. If I mix together yellow and red, I get orange. And if I mix together blue and red, I get purple. And so that's why these colors are in a wheel. So you can always look at the color wheel and you can decide how to make a secondary color. Orange is naturally in between yellow and red. You have to get through orange to get to red, right? So when you mix yellow and red together, you get orange. So whenever you're looking at a color wheel, if you want to know how to mix this yellow-green, you just know that it's in between yellow and green, right? So that leaves us with 6 more colors here. Okay, and these are called tertiary colors. And I'll write that up there in just a second. And a tertiary color are all the colors that are in between a primary and a secondary. So when you take a primary color and you mix it with a secondary color, you get a tertiary color. T-E-R-T-I-A-R-Y. Tertiary. Okay? And these are going to be, they're not new names, right? What's in between yellow and green? Yellow, green, right? It's not, you don't have to think of a new name for it. It's just the primary color and then the secondary color. So I'm not going to write them all down, but mixed, I'm going to write mixed, 1 primary, 1 secondary. Okay, so those are going to be your tertiary colors. Okay, so now we know sort of the structure of the wheel, and I'll give you extra time after I'm done talking here to write all this down. Now that you know how the wheel is made up and how these colors are made, we're going to talk about color schemes. Okay, when I say a color scheme, it's pretty much just another way of saying colors that look good together, right? And we're going to talk about 4 different color schemes today. So the two that we talked about in 6th grade were warm colors and cool colors. Okay, and warm colors are, if you were to take your color wheel and divide it in half, this whole side is warm colors. Okay, everything yellow, yellow-orange, orange, red, and red-violet, those are all warm colors. Why do we call them warm colors? Because they look hot, right? They look like lava or hot metal or fire. Okay, those are the colors you're going to see in things that are really super hot, right? So those are warm colors. Okay, your other side is going to be cool colors, and that's mainly because they have blue in them. Everything on this side has blue included in it, and blue looks like ice or like cold water or things like that. When you see a cartoon character out in the snow and they're freezing, what color do they make them? Blue, right? Light blue, because they look really super cold. Okay, so when you're thinking about color, you can use color in different ways to show meaning or to show emotion or anything like that. Okay, we've talked about that before. So these, I'm going to draw a little arrow. Warm colors, cool colors. Okay, the next ones we're going to talk about are analogous colors. A, N, A, L, O, G, O, U, S. Analogous colors are next to each other on the wheel. Okay? Next to each other on the wheel. And it can be anywhere on the wheel. Okay? And usually it's 3 or more colors. But technically, if you went all the way around the wheel, you'd be next to each other. So it's usually between like 3 and 6 colors. Okay? Somewhere between them. Okay, so any color. You could start with yellow. You can go to orange, like yellow, yellow-orange, orange, red-orange. Those are all analogous colors. You could start at red-violet and go to blue. Those are all right next to each other on the color wheel. You could start at violet and go to green. It doesn't matter as long as they're 3 or 4 or 5 colors right next to each other on the wheel. Okay? Complementary colors is the next color scheme. And that means, let me raise this up a little bit. Complementary colors are across the wheel, directly across. And complementary colors are really super, they're kind of a favorite with sports teams. They're popular with businesses and logos. If you think of yellow and violet, okay, you're going to think of the Lakers, the Vikings. You think of blue and orange as obviously Broncos. You're going to see a lot of those combinations because if you put yellow next to violet, both of those colors look super bright and more intense. Okay, if you put green next to red, like Christmas, those colors look super bright and super intense. It makes them just stand out more because they're opposites on the wheel. Okay? Questions so far? It's pretty straightforward. Okay, as long as you have the wheel in front of you and you can either say, well, these colors are next to each other or these colors are across from each other, you're good to go. Okay, as long as you have this in front of you or you can memorize it like I have, you can always think of that and figure out good colors to use. Okay, so how does this apply to our project? Okay, if you look at mine, I've chosen 2 different color schemes in this. More or less. Each letter has its own color scheme and the background kind of switches. But on the letters themselves, I'm using analogous colors. Okay, so on my T, it blends from green to blue and back to green. So those are analogous colors. Green and blue are right next to each other on the color wheel. Okay, on my H, I'm going from purple or violet to red. Okay, those are next to each other on the color wheel. Right, orange to yellow and green to yellow. Those are all analogous colors. Okay, that makes sense. Now the background, I've done complementary colors. Okay, I've got blue and orange next to each other. I've got red in this kind of turquoise teal green color. So red and green, I kind of cheated a little bit with the turquoise. Okay, same thing here. I've got pink and green next to each other. Pink is just a lighter version of red. So pink is made by mixing red and white. So when you're thinking of complementary colors, you can think of tints and shades. Okay, tints mean you add white, shade means you add black. So you could use a dark red and a light green. Those would still be complementary colors. And I've got my purple and yellow here, okay? You don't have to do those exactly, but I do want you to choose from these 4. I guess we actually have 7, okay? You could do primary colors on your letters and analogous colors in the background or whatever. I want you to choose one of these color schemes that we talked about for your letters, okay? And one of these color schemes for the background. And you can choose whatever you want to do with that. Okay, that's up to you. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to blend. So you see how on all of my letters and my background, I have blended from one color to the other one. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Where's my thing? So when you're blending colors, I'm going to zoom in a little here. When you're blending colors, especially with colored pencils, you're always going to start with your lighter color. So if you look at these 2 colored pencils, clearly the yellow one is lighter, right? If you're mixing colors like red and green, those are actually pretty close to each other as far as lightness, so it doesn't really matter which one of those you start with. You just have to look at it and you have to decide which one's the lighter pencil. Okay, so I'm going to start with yellow. So when I'm blending, I know I want yellow here and I want orange here, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little value scale. So value scale meaning I'm going to go from dark to light like we did on the worms. And I'm going to blend. Okay, so I'm going to go from super dark as I can make the yellow go. I'm going to go out to where I want the orange to start blending in. I'm going to start getting lighter. And I'm going to get lighter and lighter and lighter until just the end there, almost to the end. So I want this to fade out almost to where it's going to be pure orange, right about there. Okay, so now I'm going to take my orange and I'm going to do the reverse of that. So this is all going to be solid orange here on the end. And as it hits the yellow, it's going to start lightening up, and I'm going to take a little bit of pressure off. And I'm going to keep getting lighter and lighter and lighter until I get almost to the end where I want it to be pure yellow. So now I take my lighter color again, and I'm going to go the opposite direction, and I'm going to blend these 2 together with the lighter color. And it's not going to be perfect. It's going to make some little kind of smudges. And I just have to keep kind of going back and forth with the 2 colors until it looks smooth and even. But you always start with the lighter color, and you always blend with the lighter color. And when I'm blending, I'm actually pressing pretty hard, okay, because I already have the colors down. I'm just trying to smudge them around together until they mix. Okay, and I would keep doing that. Oh, sorry, that looks awful up there. Let me turn the lamp off. There you go. Sorry, that looked really bad. You guys were all like, this guy's insane. He has no idea what he's doing. Okay, it was a glare. Sorry about that. So that looks a little better.
It looks much better than the other one.
When it had the light on? Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize. Any questions? So again, just to sort of recap, you're choosing 2 color schemes. Doesn't matter if they're primary colors, secondary colors, analogous colors, complementary colors. You could do tertiary colors, but that's kind of a stretch because there's 6 of them. That's kind of just like what you would do if you didn't want to have to choose a color. That's kind of cheating. So I would choose primary, secondary, analogous, complementary, warm, or cool colors. Those are your options. And your letters can be one of those, and your background can be one of those, okay? And like I said on mine, I didn't stick with the same 2 colors the whole time, right? This is green and blue. This is purple and red. This is green and yellow and orange at the same time. So you can pick multiples, but all of these are analogous colors. Okay, and in the background, they all switch colors, but they're all complementary colors. Okay, you just have to decide which ones you like most.